Recently, everyone's favorite bad guy, Chael Sonnen, put out a video where he was critical of grappling as a sport and said,
"The sport of grappling is headed nowhere."
I have some strong opinions on what he said, and I disagree with a lot of it, so I'm going to share those opinions with you now. Now, just to save you the time writing your angry comment, yes, I know Chael Sonnen is a much more famous person than I am. Yes, I know Chael has done more for the sport than I have. Yes, I know Chael has a better resume than me. What have you ever done compared to insert famous athlete? Are comments I get anytime I disagree with a celebrity, and they don't really add anything, so I'm sure people will definitely disagree with the things I'm about to say, and I am okay with that. Just make your comment useful. A big part of Chael's video was his point that something isn't a sport if there is no time limit.
Do we have a sport? I would say no. That was not a sport.
So the Gordon Ryan versus Felipe Pena match couldn't count as a sport because it was a no time limit match. I reckon Chael has never heard of golf, tennis, baseball. I suppose if a baseball game goes extra innings, it loses its designation as a sport to Uncle Chael. Don't take my word for it. This is what he said.
There's no sport anywhere in the world that doesn't have time. Sports are based off of some kind of a point system inside of a confined time.
In a way, I get the point he's making, that with no time limit, it's not going to be exciting for viewers, and to a point, I agree, but using that simple metric of whether or not there is a time limit to determine whether or not something is a sport is a pretty stupid take. I do think that no time limit sub only is not the ideal way to bring in the casual viewer. Is it the best way to determine who really is the best grappler? Yeah, I think it is. Unfortunately, in any rule set, you can game the system. Gordon said openly he wanted their match to go as long as possible to wear on Felipe. In a match with a time limit, you can just ride it out until you get to overtime, not unlike what happens in a lot of matches in Chael's grappling organization. In a points match, you can try and score points really quick and then stall for the rest of the match, and it's boring. Just like the UFC does 5 rounds instead of the normal 3 in title fights and main events, I think grappling main events should have a longer time limit than the other matches on the card. Maybe you could even do an hour time limit, since that's really long for a grappling match. And if you hit the hour mark, it means neither guy gets paid for competing. That would probably incentivize more action. Or you could do tiered bonuses, 20K for a sub in the first 10 minutes, 15K for the next 20 minutes, and so on. You get the point. Should every match on a card be super long with no time limit? For sure. No. But when it's a huge rivalry match between two of the best in the business, it's got to have a long leash to go longer than a regular match. Another point Chael makes is this one, that every grappling organization has different rules and people aren't interested or can't keep track because the rules change every time they watch a different organization. Take it away, Chael.
If you do an event, whatever your event is called, it has their own rules. And you can't have a sport that way.
This point makes me wonder why Chael changed the EBI rules around when he launched his own grappling promotion called Submission Underground. If he's so concerned that no one will watch grappling without uniform rules, you'd think once he started his own organization, he'd do everything he could to keep the rules the same as his competitors. It's almost like this is a disingenuous argument he's making. Also, no one seems to mind when the UFC and ONE FC and Bellator have slightly different rules and allow slightly different things. ONE FC, you can knee a downed opponent to the head. No one is skipping a UFC event because the rules are slightly different from ONE. And, here's something that surprised me, cricket is actually the second most popular sport in the world with an audience of over 2.5 billion people. And they have 3 different formats with different rules and match lengths. So again, what's holding grappling back is not slightly different rules from event to event or organization to organization. The reason that no time limit is sometimes the preferred match length is because, unlike in wrestling, the goal isn't just to take them down and hold them down. It's very difficult to take down an elite competitor, pass their guard somehow, set up a submission, and finish that sub. This is in no way me demeaning wrestling, because I think wrestlers are some of the best athletes in the world and wrestling is in the top 3 hardest sports that you can do. But Chael said wrestling is more of a sport because there's 3 periods and at the end you know who won. but the rules and objectives in jiu-jitsu are just different. The reason grappling isn't blowing up like MMA is because it's just not as exciting, and that is okay. Jiu-jitsu does not give the viewer the threat of a crazy knockout or a slugfest, which even the most casual MMA fan can enjoy and understand what's happening. Also, in MMA, it's much easier for a casual fan to understand who is winning and who is losing. That's just not the case in jiu-jitsu matches. A person who doesn't train jiu-jitsu probably thinks that whoever's on bottom is inherently losing, even if that's not the case. You definitely need to have an understanding of jiu-jitsu to enjoy watching it. Right now, the people who watch grappling are people who are already grapplers. Another reason grappling isn't taking off is because it's almost all done behind paywalls, like with Flow Grappling and Fight Pass. Chael's promotion is on Fight Pass and behind a paywall. I did an episode all about Flow Grappling after the Gordon Ryan versus Felipe Pena match, and I got into a lot of this, so I won't rehash all of that right now. If you want to watch that video, it is right here. The UFC went from fringe to mainstream after the success of The Ultimate Fighter. Flow did a series called Who's Next, which was just like The Ultimate Fighter, but for jiu-jitsu. It was really, really good, and I enjoyed it. It was also behind a paywall on Flow's site. They did later release episodes for free on YouTube, but guess who follows Flow on YouTube? People who are already grapplers. Tough was on free TV, and that's how it reached new audiences. If you could put Who's Next or shows like it in front of more people, you'd probably get more people to sign up for jiu-jitsu, which would in turn give you a larger audience to grow the sport as a spectator event. I am not a TV executive. I do not work in television broadcasting. I do not know the first thing about getting a show on TV. But I am sure that Flow can figure it out where I can't. In a way, I agree with Chael that right now grappling needs changes in order to grow. I've said that before. I don't agree with him on why it's not growing, and I don't agree with him on what changes need to be made. But I am willing to come compete for him on Submission Underground, and we can all finally find out if Alexander Volkanovski can pass my guard. I don't think he can. Big fan. I don't think he can pass my guard. And you can now all comment how much I suck at jiu-jitsu and this guy bashes Chael and wants to compete for him. What a loser. Because even when you're mean to me, the comments help me beat the evil YouTube algorithm. So have at it. Be mean. You can also like this video and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That would be pretty cool as well. And if you want to be really cool, you could spend $2 a month to join the member area and get access to bonus videos, early access to videos, and exclusive contests and giveaways. So please check that out. The link is in the description and probably somewhere over here on the screen right now, if I'm good at blind pointing. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.